Okay, so I've joined in from my computer mobile as well, where you could see me. Um, all right, let's get started. So, yes, today's session the motivational story that we all needed. I, back in my time, required heroes that would help me carve my path in my career. Um, Back in early 2000s, I was just like anybody else. I was a student. I was just getting with my graduation, and I had to choose my career path, and because that was it. I mean, till your graduation, what are you doing? You're just planning on getting a step up on your education, right? When you are in your schools, you're done with your 10th standard, and now you want to get on your intermediate. And when you're done with your intermediate, suddenly now you have to choose between um, your 3 year or 4 year graduation course, whatever it is. Uh, and then what? Now you can't just keep on going with the schools and the colleges. Back in my day, there was no such concept of having mentors. Right now, in foreign countries and also in schools like ours, like the Shatan, we have mentorship programs, right? Where you get a lot of inputs, where you can carve your pathway, your career, your education, how you would deem fit, how you what makes it exciting for you, what drives you. So I'm here to share my story. I hope you get inspired with that. I hope you get a few lessons from that, because one experience is knowledge for other, right? One's experience, knowledge for other, whatever you could make of it. And then lastly, we'll have a short, quick Q&A where you can throw some questions, um, and then we could go through. So when I was, done with my graduation, I started uh, with tutoring because I had wonderful teachers. So I took inspiration from them and I started tutoring. Um, and I did with quite a good schools for a very short time, maybe for less than a year or so. But then I found my liking for um, training, tutoring, or being into the learning industry. So then I started with Hewlett Packard. Um, I started as a representative. See, the thing is, once we are on the crux of it, that you have all the certificates like degrees and any other certifications that validates your experience or validates your know-how that you are capable of performing something. That's not it. That's not enough. You need to believe in yourself, and you need to be confident about yourself, because if you're not confident about yourself, you won't be able to sell yourself. And if you're not able to sell yourself, then you will not be able to make your way up the ladder. That's very important. So whatever you do, don't try to literally find a shorter path. Let time take its course. We all know the story of that hatching of the caterpillar into a butterfly. What happens if we intervene and if we try to help the caterpillar come out of the uh, cocoon? What happens? It just couldn't fly. You just destroyed their life, right? It doesn't grow into a full-fledged butterfly. So it's the same thing. Time takes its course. You don't want to become an overnight millionaire uh, unless you have, you know, had your luck worked out in Bitcoin or something. But then, yes, my point is you need to trust yourself and you need to give time. So, when I just started with my tutoring, and back then there was one of this famous institutes. So I walked in and spoke to the director that I needed to do some classes, and he was astonished. He's like, "You're not even finished your graduation, maybe a final year student." And but then he gave me a shot, and that sparked a lot. And from there, um, I went on and joined Hewlett Packard, and over there, over a very short period of time, I moved on to become their training manager over there. And I worked there for over 2 years, from 2006 onwards to 2008, I believe. And there was some roughly 200 and change executives that were working under me, and many of them were, uh, quite older than me. I was very young then, but then it doesn't matter. You will have this experience too in some point of your life when you are working, when you get out of the college. I would recommend, and I always recommend everybody, that you join um, an MNC, a corporate, where you get to feel the atmosphere of how to hone your skills. See, if you move on to not so um, not so good company, or a company, when I say not so good company, I meant to say that companies who do not adhere to all the work ethics, right? So if you go to a multi-million-dollar company, uh, they have work ethics at on par. And once you get to work in that atmosphere, you will hone your senses. You will get to know how it is to work with integrity, where things like bootlicking and buttering, all these doesn't work, and everybody is having the same kind of respect and these kind of details, so you know what it is to work in a professional environment. That helps a lot in honing your mentality of how you need to um, behave even when you move out of any other organization. And then maybe if you have a brilliant idea and you're having a startup, then how you need to behave with your colleagues, your subordinates, or your partners, investors, and people like that. I think it's very important for those who will be starting their job for the first time, or will be working for the first time. I moved on from Hewlett Packard, and then with a couple of entrepreneurs, we introduced Microsoft business certifications to India. Exactly, uh, Certipad, Certiport. So this used to have Microsoft business certifications for SARC countries, the seven countries like India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, and some other countries. So they were authorized dealers for this, but Microsoft business certifications, um, Microsoft business certifications wasn't very popular, although it has to do with Microsoft Office, but at very different levels. It has to do with student, and then as a professional, as you can still see over here. So we brought this to the south of India, and we were distributors for it. Um, uh, you know, learnings from your everyday life, it really helps um, developing your strategies at work. How you handle events and scenarios and situations that we face day to day. That helps you decide, that helps you take um, terrific uh, business plans ahead of its time. So when we brought Microsoft business certifications, nobody exploited it. And then we wanted to do it on a big scale. At that time, it was Andhra Pradesh, Telangana wasn't yet formed. So what we did is we tabbed all the big schools and MBA colleges, and we tabbed with them, and we, along with the management of those institutes, ensured that majority of the students have this kind of certification. A certificate is more valuable from Microsoft. So it kind of, we kind of sold it like fire. And uh, at the peak of it, we had one of the executives visit Microsoft United States, and he was like, "How are you guys doing such volumes of sales?" So I don't think we did anything, um, anything grand, or we didn't do anything. I mean, we just covered Hyderabad, to be honest, and we were still doing. Altogether, we were selling more certifications than the whole of India. How did we do that? I just told you, we were just taking references from our everyday life. Like, for example, what used to happen back then was, if there was shortage of attendance, or if there was some kind of misdemeanor, or if there was some add-on subject that was to be taken in the post graduation, then used to be some exercise. We introduced this as that exercise. So common knowledge helped us um, attain goals, right? So my point is that even though you may not be in a working atmosphere, or you may not be currently employed, or you don't need to wait until it comes to that point that you are going to resolve something at work or at home. Your everyday incidences, it keeps on adding to your knowledge, and that helps you really carve out solutions that befits the society that you are part of, right? We did this, and then since on then we did it for a couple of years, and then I moved on to form our own organization by the name Ananas, and there were a couple other organizations as well. We do a lot of solutions. We do IT solutions. I majorly take care of learning and development, and we also do business consultation for many foreign and local multi-million dollar organizations. For example, there's a Modern Software LLC. It provides, like, roughly there are 70 plus oil refineries in Oman, and they provide almost to 65 plus oil refineries, some or the other, software as a solution, this kind of thing. So we also do business consultation for them. We also do it for local players. There are many over here into the manufacturing business. A recent gig was Katera. Um, Katera, this was really good. They used to build the whole villa in a matter of 48 hours, ready to move in, with working air conditions, with working TVs, walls, paints, decor, everything you can think of, plumbing, electricity, and everything. So they had this precast houses, and they could develop it for within 48 hours. So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they gave them an order of building more than 14,000 villas across and it was a very young company, uh, founded in 2015, and just in 2018, it also got secured investments of almost $1 billion from SoftBank because of the project that they have amassed from Saudi. I think by now, Katera has been taken over by the Saudi government itself. Uh, but then what we did was we provided change management. Change management is one step ahead of just training. For example, when you are going ahead and implementing a new software or a tool, or let us say there is some ERP implementation in your company, or CRM implementation, or any software, or the way you work, it has been evolved, or you are completely revamping how you work or how you attend to scenarios, then you need change management in perspective. So change management not only designs a training plan and does the training and make sure the transition is smooth, but it also looks at the wider aspect of acceptance by the people and how it's going to affect. Is it going to roll back? It ensures the change management professionals ensures basically that it's a successful transition and without having damaging effect to the business chain that's existing. Um, there are many more programs and there are many more clients, I could say. There's also uh, what's the name? Hold on. So there are further many clients. I could just think of a couple of them that's on top of my mind that we could provide services to. But majorly, we are supporting existing businesses and as board advisors and advisory to the board panels on how to up their business or how to transition them from current to digital. There were many gigs also that we did. We also introduced before the GST. Uh, we had this e-commerce website called Sasti Hobby, but right now we have put it on shelf. Um, in my experiences, if I were to share um, these experiences where it could inspire you, I would tell you that I wasn't I wasn't the kind of uh, a person who was indifferent. I was just a commoner, just like you or just like anyone else. Most of you must be uh, you know would be much more versatile, agile, and genius. I'm a big procrastinator. I could say that. I love to put things behind. But then the people who are just, very active and agile and versatile, and they want to get things done right, yesterday. So, but still, I got, I got where I am right now. I usually fly um, at least 4 times, in a year out of the country. And um, how did I attain it? My point is, I did it over a period of time, and I did it uh, with doing and upgrading myself from time and time. So that, and then you also need to have you also need to have a good circle of hangout, right? Who are you hanging out with? That defines you. I mean, there are a lot of wisdom over here uh, that adds to how what will be your image in the future, how you will be in the future. It's who you're moving with. How's your perseverance, and how are you, what is your perspective of things? Like, if something happens, how do you understand it? I mean, are you going to be aggressive? Are you going to be optimistic? Are you going to be realistic? Are you going to be a pessimistic? Are you going to be an opportunist? See, for example, um, you remember when there was note bandi, right? The 500 and 1,000 rupees bills, they were useless suddenly. It did cause a lot of trouble, but do you know who made a lot of money out of it? The UPI business, especially Paytm to be called for, right? So you need to keep looking for such opportunities, and you need to strike on that. It's nothing wrong. See, um, when a lot of people fall sick, who makes the most money? The hospitals, right? So it's not just about money, but it's also about services. If you look, so one one aspect of looking at it is earning money. When everybody is getting sick, hospital makes a lot of money. Another aspect to look at it is when a lot of people are falling sick, it's hospitals that ensure that all of them are um, getting back on their foot, right? So there is one perspective where you are talking about the money involved. There's another perspective we are talking about the morals involved. There can be other perspective where we can, just simply say the hospitals are evil, right? So how you think, how you perceive things really matter, enhance how you think, how you enhance your think ways is reading books. It not only expands your vocabulary, but it also helps you understand things from a different perspective, right? So, over a period of time, maybe you would also be able to uh, find your favorite author. I mean, when I say read books, I don't mean you go and pick up Harry Potter or Twilight or some romance genres, right? I want you to pick up books where it talks about, for example, Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma is a really good author, and he wrote a lot of books. Um, wow, he's a billionaire just by writing books. You could take a look at, okay, his books are, his books basically put a different perspective. This was one of the most sold this book as well. I think he put it in um categories, I believe. So Robin Sharma is one good author. He puts a different perspective at looking at things. Then there are other authors as well. If you just go on to Amazon and look for one, you'll get a lot of suggestions. Another Gorgopal Das, he puts a different perspective as well altogether. And then this book, The Power of Subconscious Mind, this is also a good book. You could also, if you are into aggressive business, you can also try Harvard Business Review, a set of 10 must reads. This is really pricey, the book being very thin, but then it's worth every penny. Harvard Business Review is another. It doesn't talk about some strategy or Six Sigma or tools like that would be very elaborate, but it just talks about how you need to think, uh, how you need to hone your senses, and how you need to perceive things and then react. So, for example, one of these stories were, I'll just share an example of one of the companies who came up with one of the solutions to a lot of people taking leave. So there was this manufacturing company, and that manufacturing company had an issue where people frequently used to take a lot of leaves, right? So they hired one of the Six Sigma consultant and they asked for a solution. So the Six Sigma consultant, you know, accumulates data, and then they use the tools and they came up with a very, you know, different solution. The management was expecting that they would say increase their salaries or maybe decrease something, but then the Six Sigma consultant came back and they said that they should put a gymnasium in the manufacturing unit. So the company was like, they are already into a manufacturing company, and by the time their shift ends, they get really physically tired. So then the consultant found out that they were not taking leave just because they wanted to take leave, but they were actually having stress on their health, and to have them cope up with the work stress and the physical stress, they need to attend the gymnasium. And also there were some other entertainments that were made available at the work. For example, the table tennis and the chess and the caroms. Usually in the MNCs you find that as well. You just go out and play for 10-15 minutes and you'd feel really relaxed, and then you could go back to work really fresh. So such is what HBR also carries. It's by Howard, so it means a lot. So books really put a different you in you, right? It's like the incidences taking place on a larger scale in a bigger company, that you get to experience firsthand in the author Guru Gopal. Rich Dad Poor Dad is it's one of the best sellers. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think they sold more than 5 to 10 million copies of that. And again, it doesn't give you any strategies or anything. It just change how you think, right? That is important. How you think to to shape how you think is important, right? So in Rich Dad Poor Dad, it totally talks about perspectives. It just talks about perspective. One of the most touching lines were the middle class family.
नहीं आ रहे
Kamal Kumar sir, would you please mind? Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we were talking about one of the, it covers a lot of people over here. The middle class, it talks about one of its lessons, or one of the aspects it puts is the middle class, the people in the middle class, which we have, in majority in Hyderabad, I believe, they try, when they earn money, they try to spend it. Whereas the rich class, when they get money, they don't spend it. They try to put money to work by investing it somewhere. So that really hit me, because that's what we have been seeing since our childhood. That in the middle class, when they get some money, they try to buy a car. They try to buy liability. It also talks about liabilities, another thing. Liability, for example, let us say I got a new phone, right? So when I get a new phone, uh, then it's still gonna ask for money. Every 6 months or so I need to uh, put some accessories on top of it, and then I need to pay phone bills and all that. Although it's an important liability, but it's still a liability, right? If I buy a big television, then I need to buy, let us say I'm buying a 4K television set, then I have to buy a 4K set-top box to enjoy all the features of that. What's happening? It's becoming a liability. I've not just bought the TV and now I have to again keep on spending on the TV. Same goes with the car, right? Although some of them are important, but not all of them are important. Whereas it says, the rich dad poor dad, Robert Kiyosaki says, the rich people, they think different. They want to think whether it's becoming a liability, right? Rather put the money to work, right? Put it in, wherever you feel there's going to be returns in that, wherever you feel confident, mutual funds, or wherever you feel confident, in any other business, or buy shares or cryptos, or if somebody's doing business, invest with them, whichever you feel confident about. So I believe, it goes back to very old ages, when there were mythical stories where morals and lessons were infused in humans, right? So back in the day, even if you the 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 oldest of the sagas that you have heard or that you could recollect in time, they were still having the same thing, that they give you either a moral or they give you a lesson, right? It still happens today, although we think we are the most modern human, but we still need those stories, we need those incidences, we need those experiences that occurred with somebody else, maybe, to widen our uh, thinking aspect, right? How we think, how we perceive, how we become wise. That's important, right? Um, this very session itself, it's for the same purpose, where I would share some of my past experiences, my gigs, and that's hopefully will inspire you to do a lot. Now, we've spoken about, some of the things that I've achieved. We've spoken about how to get there. Uh, Now, I want to also emphasize on you not analyzing you day in and day out. That's another important uh, uh, that's very important part of succeeding in your life. If you're going to analyze yourself at every step, you're going to diss yourself, right? So you don't need to analyze yourself on every step. You probably put a 3 months or 6 months or 1 year uh, goal plan, right? You put a plan. Okay, I'll go in reverse order. I need to, let us say, I need to make a e-commerce um, project. Okay, or let us say your whatever your aim is. Let us say I want to make an e-commerce site like Amazon itself, and I want to be selling really good, right? So now you go in reverse order. Okay, if I need to have an Amazon like website, an e-commerce website, there are millions of websites. It's not like you can compete with Amazon, but there are many uh, e-commerce sites. Shopify is one such platform. We could, you could just, you don't even need to have technical expertise. You could just upload your products and start selling. Many businesses are listed on Shopify. So there are many uh, $1 million